So there are some lawyers that I really don't like, and I wouldn't like. I think they do things wrong, or they analyze things wrong, or they see things in the wrong way because they want to just take sides, and they try and just use anything they can to kind of back up this. So this guy is insulting the Diddy indictment, he's not insulting the Diddy indictment. He's insulting Diddy and saying that the indictment is correct, and it just proves what a monster he is and stuff. And I'm not really too sure why he's doing this. It's not his case, but I guess he's making money from the YouTube hits, which probably isn't that many, and the fact that he's even doing this probably is an indication that he's probably a bad lawyer, because I don't think you can actually make that much money from YouTube videos, so him doing this isn't really benefiting to his account. But I know there's loads of lawyers that must think like him or be like him. I mean, I really hope not, because they don't analyze things correctly, and they don't say truth often, and they just they keep adding their personal views and then mixing it with what they're reading and indicating that what they're reading is the truth. Anyway, I like analysing him because I think he's a bad example of a bad lawyer, or a good example of a bad lawyer. And if I was going to trial for being Babylon the Great, sinner of the world, or mother of all sinners, and if people were accusing me of things that I have absolutely nothing to do with, he would be probably the worst person that I would want to defend me. Why? Because I think in the back of his mind he would be thinking that I was guilty and only caring about trying to make money, whilst not caring about the truth. I think he would have his views on whatever it is, but yeah, I'm just analysing.
He's going to be in the same spot. Except, if he did that, he'd still have his money. This way, he's going to be broke as a joke. And he's going to give him this song and dance. I think we got this. You know, what he needs is somebody to tell him what the fucking truth is.
Yeah, I hate how he talks. What he needs is someone who's telling him what the fucking truth is. Or he's going to be in a jail cell, and the lawyers are going to help him until he's broke. So that's what I missed the beginning of that sentence, but I just randomly clicked on this. I talked about the first half in another video, but I'm talking about the second half now, and I just randomly clicked on somewhere. But yeah, he's talking about, he's kind of just insulting Diddy's character and saying all the things that Diddy is going to be saying or thinking, and this just sounds like some brat in a playground. So there's kids in a playground that, you know, say the teacher has caught someone doing something, and now he's just in the playground bitching about all the things that Diddy might be thinking and saying. And just like, this is a horrible attitude for a lawyer to have. You know, a lawyer should stick to the facts and stick to, you know, I'm only going to present the facts. I'm not going to start saying, oh, Diddy's saying this and Diddy's thinking this, and then the lawyer's just using him until he has no more money left, and Diddy's going to be in a jail cell until he knows what the fucking truth is or something. You know, his language and how he's presenting himself is, it's not good. But a lot of people might just look at his suit and be like, yep, this is a lawyer, he looks like a lawyer. But to me, he just looks like a fool. Or he sounds like a fool, should I say.
You are fucked. You are absolutely fucked.
It's funny him saying that, and he's got a gun there, and then saying stop snitching, and I don't know what he's trying to imply, but he's not coming off well in this video.
You're going to prison for the good portion of the rest of your life. Guess what Diddy's going to do? He is not your gangster. He would probably snitch. But guess what? He's at the top of the heap. There's nobody to snitch on except for maybe somebody who's getting him the drugs. And who gives a shit about a low-level drug dealer when you got P. Diddy in custody? All right.
So some guy is supposedly in prison. I'm not even convinced he is, really, to be honest. But yeah, he's just insulting him and saying that, oh, he's going to snitch. But there's nobody to snitch on, because it's like he doesn't actually know the situation. He doesn't actually know who the victims are. He doesn't actually know who's coming forward. I'm not convinced he knows any of the details, because if he did know the details, he'd be talking about the details and not just talking about an indictment that mentions Sean Combs, which I always... Sean Combs, but it reads like Scene. But yeah, it talks about him, aka this, aka that, aka Diddy, aka Love. I mean, that just sounds ridiculous how that was mentioned like 15 times throughout the whole thing, which was, it's almost like they thought the people who wrote that thought that whoever was going to read this obviously isn't going to remember who the guy is.
Just want to add one thing about his lawyer. He was the ex-Manhattan assistant district attorney and former supervisor at the U.S. Attorney's Office, who had a 2-year stint as chief of violent crimes unit prosecuting gangs, is known for spending nearly 2 decades working for Combs. And so
Diddy should ask this guy, Agnifilo, and I don't know him, and I don't have any reason to badmouth him. I just know how these New York law firms work. How many federal cases have you gotten acquittal on? I haven't, anytime I got close to getting an acquittal, they dismissed the case. That's what they do.
That just sounds almost like he's just having, a bit between him and someone else's lawyer, just putting down a lawyer. Any lawyer that's just going to insult other lawyers, it's bad community. You should accept that lawyers should be working together and not putting themselves against them and being like, oh, that's a shit lawyer, he can't do this, he can't do that.
They do in federal court. The feds have like a 96, 97% success rate. And in this case, half this stuff is irrefutable. The only thing that's refutable is the consent about it, right? That's the only thing that would be in dispute.
No, the only thing that would be in dispute is wanting to know who are the victims, how many times does it happen, how long did it... The details, none of the details have been... Everything can be disputed because we know nothing about who they are, who's involved. I mean, what he's saying is lies, because he says nothing is disputable. I would just say that the indictment, how I read it, only made me ask more questions. Who is involved? Who is the victims? Why are they blaming... Why is booking out a hotel room knowing that it's going to be used for some sort of sex party? Why is that a crime? If the hotel might not really want that, but if the videos are for personal use, then it's not a crime. Why does he think that this is all a crime and all disputable crime when I just ask more questions from the form?
Dude, whether it happened or not, they're going to probably have the sex worker that was there. They're going to have the hotel records. They're going to have the receipts for all the fucking baby oil. And they have the baby oil. They have the actual baby oil.
Wow, they have the baby oil. The baby oil is now in question. Oh wait, you can't actually question the baby oil. Why is the baby oil taken in? I'm confused. I mean, okay, it's a bit mad to have that many, but it kind of looked nicely decorated. Someone might say that I'm mad for having 100 Beanie Bears. I am a little bit. If I had a billion pounds, I would want to get at least 1,000 Beanie Babies, and I'd have them all decorated round a room, and you could be like, oh, that's proof that I'm doing something strange and I want an audience of teddy bears. I mean, it's not proof. It's a bit mad, but I like Beanie Bears, and I'd love to have like a room where I can have like hills and maybe like a church and some houses, and then I can have like little Beanie Baby land. Okay, you could say that I'm completely crazy for that, and I think Diddy is a bit crazy for having that many bottles, but to say that that's evidence of proof of some criminal activity, that's not proof of criminal activity. That's not proof. He's got the money to afford sex workers. He's got the money to afford a masseuse every day. He's got the money to do that, I believe. I don't even know if that's true. I mean, it might be exaggeration. He's got an expensive house, although I think even the fact that that house doesn't actually belong to him, but it belongs to a company, or I don't know, that's also in question of if Sean actually owns it, or if it's just the company that owns it. I think it's a company, but I don't know. He's trying to make out he knows what he's talking about, and then going on about how they've got the baby oil. This is proof. This is proof. No, it's not proof. No, it's not proof.
They got 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Who needs 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
Well, who needs 1,000 Beanie Babies? I do. But yeah, you might think I'm mad for liking that.
I suppose if you're having multiple freak-offs. But let's see what else he has to say.
You've been wanting to make?
I can have freak-offs of all my Beanie Babies. Yay!
I think he came out. Mr. Combs is a fighter. He's going to fight this to the end. He's innocent.
The end of his money.
He came to New York.
He's just like, he's supposed to be a lawyer, and yet he's just taking a chuckle out of another lawyer who's trying to defend his client. I think that's just bad. It's a bad way of wanting. It's a bad way of handling things.
To establish his innocence. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of the charges. There's nothing that the government said in their
Okay, that's just dumb. He's not afraid of the charges? Wouldn't you be afraid of the charges? Where are you? You're in fucking Rikers Island. You goddamn well better be afraid. They just executed 2 search warrants. They've got obliterated serial numbers on firearms. They've got videos and baby oil.
Baby oil! No, I think if he's not afraid of the charges, it's because he doesn't. But it could be the truth. The charges are all about it being non-consensual, and to prove something's non-consensual is a lot harder than to prove whether or not an act happened. If lots of money was being exchanged, then that's just proof that they all agreed to do something. Maybe they didn't want to do it, but they all agreed to do it for money, and therefore it's not a crime. Coercion is forcing someone to or encouraging someone to do something for money, but that's not a crime. Coercion shouldn't actually be. It's bad if it's, I'm going to beat you up or do this. But at the same time, some of these sex tapes, if you've seen some sex tapes, there are some sex tapes where they say, they threaten to be like an abuser or something. There are lots of sex tapes where I think the Murad actually, they had one, I'm going to make you worship my feet or something like that. I'm sure Murad said something similar to that to one of his victims. I mean, maybe he's getting touched by this case because he's feeling like the abuser in that case, and the victims were being paid by the film company or whatever he was getting involved in. But yeah, it's not necessarily a crime if you are all egging each other on in doing this, and the workers want to make money. The guy who has the money kind of likes seeing it, and sometimes you can play role play and I know that the Cassie footage was kind of bad, but it was in 2016. So why did she not go to the police about it? Maybe she did hit him with a phone afterwards, and that made him a lot more angrier than he should have been, which is bad. But it's not like it is bad. But she didn't go to hospital because of it. If you think about how many violent cases where women end up in hospital because of it, what happened to Rihanna's face looked far worse than what and Chris Brown didn't actually go to jail for that, although I think he's having difficulty getting into Australia because of it. But yeah, I don't know, sometimes fights break out and you only see the end of it, and you miss a portion of it. So and if she was given a huge amount of money afterwards, well, some people would be willing to go through abuse if they're going to make something out of it, because the money can change their life and make their life better. So I'm not saying much. No.
Today that changes anyone's mind about anything. He's been looking forward to this day. He's been looking forward to clearing his name, and he's going to clear his name. And we're going to stand by his side as he does. We believe in him wholeheartedly.
Until he runs out of money. Here's the thing.
He's just like making a joke out of everything. Isn't that a really bad lawyer? Someone who would just say that. I mean, this guy is only making this video to get hits on YouTube to make money. He's not teaching anything. He's not being wise. He's not being smart. He's doing this to make money, and yet he's sort of making a joke about how other people are only doing things for money. People only do things for money. That is just how it is. That is the cycle of life. People need money, and they do different things to get money according to their life status and their the situation that they're currently in. If someone is completely broke, they would probably do a lot more for money. And if later on in life they learn to use this money that they make to build up some sort of business, build up some sort of career, they can't just turn back and say, oh, the first, like if you're walking up a ladder, and the only way you manage to get to the top of the ladder is by going up the ladder and doing things you didn't want to do. You can't just, when you get to the top of the ladder, start looking back on the bottom things that you did to get to the place that you're at now, and then start blaming it on other people, being like, oh, you made me do this, you made me do this. A cleaner doesn't want to be a cleaner. A cleaner had to do it to get into, to work. Some people say if the best way to get into the BBC is to start off being a cleaner and then make your way round, the staffing, try and get a better job, going from a cleaner to an assistant. Sometimes this is, and you when you get to the top, and if you ever do get to be a boss, you can't just sue the company and say, oh, you forced me to be a cleaner when I first started. They didn't want to be a cleaner, but that's the hierarchy of how to make it up the ladder, and therefore just because some people are complaining about things they've been forced to do in the earlier career or in the bottom when they were at the bottom stage. That doesn't mean that it didn't lead to something that later went on to be more. Okay, sometimes in cases, you might work with someone to get a record deal and to go somewhere and then it doesn't go anywhere. But you can't necessarily blame the person that promised you, something. They did their best. They gave you what you asked for. What did you want? Oh, you wanted so many hours in a studio with a producer. I gave you that. And okay, the song didn't go anywhere, but you can't just. Maybe he was making promises that you can commit, but I don't know. I'm not aware of it, so I can't even say that because I don't know if that's the truth. But yeah, a lawyer that would say that they know things when they don't know things is a kind of a bad lawyer.
Thing, I shouldn't give him any shit because he's just doing his client's bidding. But these pre-trial posturing and that's all it is. It's just pre-trial posturing. He's not concerned. He damn well better than why he's on suicide watch. Because he's looking at life in prison. He's looking at a bullet. This is
many people who first go into prison will find themselves on suicide watch, especially if you've gone from living in a big mansion to living in a tiny cell. Or there's a possibility that he's not actually in prison and people are just saying that he's on suicide watch in some sort of facility because they're trying to give a reason as to or make a story believable or just sell stories that are going around. I don't even know. I'm not even convinced that he is in prison. That's how I'm feeling, to be honest.
This is just like R. Kelly. This is just, R. Kelly was really bad. And did you see R. Kelly?
I don't think R. Kelly was bad. He was really bad. No, I think he just was taking advantage of his fans and having sex with some of them and not asking their age, which isn't really bad. It's something that anyone would do if they were given fame, if they are in that kind of, not anyone. It's something that someone would do if they really like sex and if they are in that position. And but yeah, there's a lot of people that would have done just what he done if they were in that position of fame and success. And okay, not all of them, but that doesn't mean that it's really, really bad.
In the interview he did with what's her name, he freaked out. Why did he freak out? Because he saw the freight train coming. Guess what? Did he? Yeah, news for.
He was talking about the interview that R. Kelly did with something King. With that woman, he freaked out because he could see that this woman wasn't believing him, this woman wasn't on his side. He went to this place to try and get the public on his side, and he knew it wasn't going to work because he wasn't able to answer the questions in the right way. The woman kept sort of putting lots of blame on him and kept referring to these girls as being sort of victims or victimized, people being victimized by him, and he couldn't find a way of being like, this is not the truth. They just kept going back to the same mindset, and he couldn't change it, and he was getting very stressed out by this. Anyone would be stressed out in that position.
For you, there's a freight train coming, and you are tied to those motherfucking tracks. And your lawyer, he's got a chisel, he's got a blowtorch, and he's got all kinds of other tools in his toolbox.
He's got a gun.
And nothing he can do can remove you from those tracks, because that train is coming, and that train is the U.S. government, and they're going to run a train on you.
I think that's pretty harsh to say that, you don't know the case, you don't know who the victims are, you don't know the story, and yet you're saying that the US government is going to run a train through you and sort of taking enjoyment from it, and of course you're trying to make money from this. I'll skip what the camera guy says.
Just shit. They're just making all this shit up. They don't have anything on video. They have his train on you.
He didn't do these things. This was a
bullshit. He didn't. Oh, so this indictment right here is just a bunch of shit. They're just making all this shit up. They don't have anything on video. They have his recordings. They have his recordings of intimidating witnesses. This is what I don't like about.
You haven't heard those recordings, and I haven't heard those recordings, and I don't know the situation, but yeah. to say that you know the situation. They had the recordings. What, you think all this is bullshit? You know, yeah, I do actually think that all this is bullshit. I don't know why it's written in such a way that it's written, because it just sounds repetitive, no details. Only one victim seems to be mentioned, and this is a victim that's allegedly got 30 million pounds for whatever has happened. And yeah, I wasn't even aware that they had such a strong relationship. You know, I found out, I didn't even know that Diddy knew Cassie until like 2 years ago. But whatever that is, whatever the situation is, I don't know, he doesn't know, and this form doesn't really talk about, doesn't say that much. It doesn't say that much, and most of the things on it is aiding and abetting and transporting and enticing, and it's just like, what? Encouraging people to have sex acts? Isn't that what every single prostitute in like the whole world has faced? People encouraging them to have sex acts. Like seriously, are you going to take every single prostitute in the whole world and be like, you're all victims of the guys who paid you money? I mean, literally, any prostitute does not want to do prostitution, and therefore you could take any prostitute and say, is there any client that has ever forced you to just push your boundaries a little bit further, just to go that little bit further, something you didn't want? Well, let's take you to court and try and sue that other person. You know, this is obviously just attention on because Diddy's famous. And
when you go in front of the cameras and you're doing stuff for the media, he didn't do these things, you lose credibility. Less is more. You know, he's going to fight this. I believe in his innocence. He has the right to the presumption of innocence, which he does in court, not where we...
He has the right to the presumption of innocence. No, he has the right to innocence if he's innocent, not the presumption of innocence. That's almost like saying he has the right to make people think that he's innocent when really he's not, and we all know that he's not. No, he has the right to it being innocent if he is actually innocent, and if these girls or these victims who are not coming forward are just trying to make more money. I mean, the only reason why prostitutes do sex acts is for money, and well, if they can make more money suing, then that's probably what they would do, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want the fame, because they don't want to be known as, you know, the person who has had sex with lots of people.
Where we sit, I mean, this is just a public opinion, right? So he has the right, and that's what I would do. But to say that he didn't do any of this, then what's with 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
Not to mention,
you could have 1,000 massages in a year. No, you can't have it in a year. You can have if you have one massage a day, that's 360 a year, and I don't know. Maybe he likes just pouring a whole bottle on him. I've occasionally I have people that are just like more, and I don't know. I think a quarter of a bottle is the most I've ever used in a 2-hour session. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's got a whole team of people and they're all getting massages, and you know, if he's got like 20 people working for him and he's paying for them all to have massages or something extra as well, massages with endings, you know, that is possible. And I still don't think he'll get through 1,000, but it did kind of look pretty decorative in the room, so maybe it was just there for decoration.
watching that video of him dragging Cassie Ventura down. You remember just watching that?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, when you say he didn't do any of this, there's video. You know there's video evidence of it. You know, to get out there and just shill for here's the thing. It's a defense lawyer's job to advocate for your client. It's not a defense lawyer's job to say things that aren't true.
10-year
So why are you just saying things that are not true?
relationship. There's no coercion. There's no crime. There's basically just, someone who brought a civil case and now is finding themselves as a witness in a criminal case.
Cassie ain't the only one. Cassie is not the only one. Everything's good?
So why is she the only one mentioned, or the only victim one mentioned in the indictment? He's like saying, lawyers should just not say things that are not true. And then, Cassie is not the only one. Well, she's the only one mentioned in the indictment.
Arenas and everything, starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you haven't. I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
Number?
Yeah.
How he said, "You haven't been hitting me up the way we used to."
This is what I don't like when, when I have a case that's in the public, and I've had plenty of them, I say very little. And to say he didn't do this or didn't do that, let's just see what did he do.
And appears to corroborate some of the allegations of abuse against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
Okay, he's running down the hallway in a trial.
The video captured on multiple cameras.
She's trying to get away.
Assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016.
But he didn't do that. This matches the indictment exactly.
I don't know if that is real or not. But I know that she did move to a different partner, I think, in 2017 or something. So maybe this was where she was trying to break up with him, and he wasn't very happy with the idea of her sleeping with someone else. I mean, it's not appropriate behavior or anything if that is real. So he did do that. But yeah, this is about sex trafficking, about multiple victims. Well, it doesn't say multiple victims. It just indicates that it says that they were luring people on the pretense of a relationship. That's not talking about Cassie, because that was an actual relationship as far as I'm as far as the media is saying. I don't know what relationship, how long or how close or anything. But yeah, I just. You can't just take a footage of him hurting someone, being violent and aggressive. So there's obviously some truth in that. But you can't just say that this was something that happened on a regular basis. That's not proof that it happened on a regular basis. That's not proof that all the other allegations are true. And the fact that he's taking that clip and using it as evidence that everything else is true too, that's not what it proves.
So tell me he didn't do that? I mean, this is what I don't like about lawyers that kind of go off the rails just to do their client's bidding.
This is what I don't like. Lawyers that go off the rails and just take one thing and say, well, this is obviously proof that this has happened, so this obviously means that, if A happened, then B, C, and D also happened, because A is true, and we've got a real clip of it.
You can be an effective advocate without lying.
And
you can analyze something without exaggerating and pretending to know things that you don't.
going to fight this case with everything we have, as is he, and eventually...
No, you're going to fight it with everything he has. Not with everything you have.
He's going to be...
There you're just insulting him, saying that he doesn't even believe, that the lawyer himself doesn't even believe. It's like you're turning the public against Diddy, and that's why are you doing that? What is your purpose in turning the public against Diddy? There's already a lot of people against Diddy. You don't need to be another person doing that.
Be shown to be innocent, and so tomorrow we fight again, and we'll fight every day until we don't have to fight anymore.
Okay. Holy shit. Okay, but he didn't do this. Just so you know, he didn't do this.
It kind of looks pretty. I mean, it looks kind of like someone who would cover their bathroom in candles. But yeah, is it all like different flavors or something? Like, so I know sometimes they have lots of different scents. It's. I have perfumes. Okay, I don't have that many. But if I had lots and lots of money, I would love a whole row of lots of different perfumes. Okay, I probably wouldn't go for that many. Is that all the same stuff? That's another question that I would like to know. Or is some of that different flavors, different scents? I'm a bit confused. But I don't understand why you would take that into custody. Surely you would just take pictures of it and be like, here's the proof. You don't actually need the baby oil themselves. Why would they take the baby oil? It doesn't make sense. The baby oil is not illegal substances. You test it for drugs. If it's not got drugs in it, then you don't really have rights to seize it. If you have £1 million in your house, yes, and you think it could be used through criminal activity, then yes, you can take it. But this is just baby oil. $3, $4, or maybe $5 a bottle.
He did not do this. He doesn't have... Oh my God. Look at all that baby oil. He didn't do this. He didn't have all these bottles of baby oil for nothing.
Although all the clothes on the floor, I'm not sure that he did that. That looks like something done in the raid. That actually looks like a setup. Why would there be clothes in a bathroom? It's not like they've gone through a cupboard and put clothes all over the floor. It almost looks like they've just gone into the other room, grabbed a bunch of clothes, put it on the floor, and tried to make it look like a crime scene. Why would there be clothes all over that floor? It doesn't make sense why there'd be clothes all over a bathroom floor. Unless, of course, it's like the night after a freak off, but I really don't think that's a night after a freak off. This was done just a few weeks ago or something.
He ain't getting out. And he isn't getting out in large measure because you've got, as recently as, I think, December 2023 or shortly thereafter, witness intimidation. Courts don't like that. You've got drugs. Courts don't like that. You've got firearms. Courts really don't like that. And you've got violence.
So why wouldn't there be anything in the indictment about having drugs and him charged, again, with possession of drugs or with possession of firearms? Why is it only about sex trafficking? Okay, I'm going to stop now.